Okay, look who's back with us. He's the president of the Heritage Foundations. He's Dr. Kevin Roberts. It's good to see you. Now we've got Abigail Disney. She's stepping out. She's the granddaughter of Roy Disney. She's saying, you know what? The Florida's parental rights law and conservatives, they're off the wall, she's basically saying. The people are calling out the gender and racial ideology permeating Disney. She's calling it culture war nonsense. But polls show majority of Floridians say they agree with it, including the majority of Democrats in Florida. What do you say to what's going on?
Well, it sounds like Miss Disney is living in the same bubble that Disney executives are living in. Obviously, that poll shown by the Wall Street Journal, which you're talking about, Liz, other polls which show 60% of Americans support this kind of legislation, all point to the fact that this is a common sense piece of legislation that protects kids. It's pro-family. And Disney, of all corporations, really ought to get with the program and join the majority of Americans who support it.
Now you got New York City Mayor Eric Adams. He's a Democrat. He's got a new ad campaign. He's saying to gay people in Florida, come to New York. He's got a new billboard campaign. But, gay people don't like high taxes either.
They sure don't. And there's a reason that states like Florida continue to receive a disproportionate influx of Americans from New York, Liz. You know that very well. All of that to say that the more we see red state governors governing like red state governors, that is to say, governing the way their voters elected them to govern, the more people will leave places like New York and California and say the American future is one represented by this legislation. It's pro-child, it's pro-family, it's pro-parental rights, and people are going to vote with their feet. So I sort of dare the New York mayor, I dare Miss Disney to defy that. It's clear that a majority of Americans are with us on this issue.
Yeah, and the issue is, how is the media reporting it? How is the information about the legislation being portrayed in the media? Because when you read through the details, it's basically what you're saying is common sense. It doesn't shut down discussion of gay people or transgender people inside schools in Florida. And by the way, sex education comes at 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So why talk to 5-year-olds about it? The other thing, too, is we've got the Republican governor of Maryland. He's Governor Larry Hogan. He's slamming the Florida governor over this, but he admits he did not read the law. Watch this.
Well, I didn't really actually see the details of the legislation, but the whole thing seems like just a crazy fight. I'm not sure. It concerns me. DeSantis is always talking about he was not demanding that businesses do things, but he was telling the cruise lines what they had to do. He was telling local schools what they're mandating, and now he wants to criticize Disney for expressing how they feel about that bill. I mean, they have every right to it. We have a thing called freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
They can come out and say what they think. I think the bill was kind of absurd and not something that would have happened in our state.
What do you think?
Well, I think the governor of Maryland, of all people, ought to read legislation before he comments on it. And that really speaks to the larger point, Liz, which is all of this fury in the media. Probably a vast majority of your colleagues criticizing this legislation haven't read it. And it really boils down to this. I was a teacher for 20 years. I'm the 5th generation educator in my family. And I can tell you that the most important thing in education, in the classroom, for students, for their achievement, is parental involvement. I would love for the governor of Maryland, A, to read the legislation, and B, sort of explain to me how we wouldn't want parents involved, especially with sex education regarding kindergartners and 3rd graders.
The other thing, too, is Abigail Disney. She's also tweeting about this, and this is the sore point for Disney. It's about doing business in China when China's being accused of human rights abuses and genocide. Watch a Newsweek editor on this. Listen to this.
Would Democrats be lying about what's in this bill if they didn't know that their own supporters would support the bill, right? It's really a tell that they had to create this whole campaign lying about what was in the bill because what was in it was so commonsensical. And I'm so glad you brought up the Uyghurs. There was no Disney walkout when Disney was filming Mulan in the shadow of concentration camps filled with Uyghur Muslims. They didn't care less. It's only when they're opposing something that over 2/3 of Americans support suddenly, like the righteous indignation shows its head, right?
Right.
Your response to that, sir?
Well, she's entirely right. And look, this overreaction by Disney to this legislation has caused a day of reckoning. Disney must answer for filming Mulan in Xinjiang province, where there is active genocide propagated by the CCP there. Secondly, we also have to recognize, both at the state level in Florida and at the federal level, the time has come for companies to stop getting special treatment like Disney has in Florida, and as they get with the copyright of Mickey Mouse, which expires in 2 years. Let's put everyone in the same playing field if they want to play ball.
Dr. Kevin Roberts, good to see you.